and I decided to cast on a pair of socks. Yeah, I cast on some socks, guys. Hey guys, I'm Kristen, also known as Voolenvine, here on my YouTube channel, on Ravelry, on Instagram, and pretty much everywhere else on the web. And as always, I'm so happy that you're taking some time to chat about all the knitting, all the sewing, all the making, or whatever crafty rabbit hole I happen to be diving down this week. And yeah, I am back from a week off. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have caught wind that I was not feeling well. I came down with some kind of stomach flu, if I had to pinpoint something in particular. So yeah, I was feeling rather poorly, as they say across the pond. So I called it and I decided I'm not going to podcast this week. I really couldn't because I'll talk more about it in the blather segment, but I was just really, really unwell. I would not wish this, whatever it was that I had, on anybody. It was just a whole week of chills, fever, nausea, and just a whole sense of not feeling so hot. Or feeling hot, but not in the good sense. But anyway, I'm back this week feeling 110%, and I've really missed podcasting. Honestly, guys, like when I don't podcast once a week, it's like I feel like I'm seriously missing out on something. So yeah, I'm really happy to be back, and I'm so glad that you guys are hanging out with me. I have a really fun show for you guys. I've got some knitting, got some sewing, and yeah, a couple of announcements before I get into that. So we have a couple of knit-alongs that are currently underway. We have the Box of Socks knit-along and the Year of the Garment knit-along. Those are year-long knit-alongs that are happening in the year of 2019, so I highly recommend, if you are into knitting socks or garments this year, hop on over to the Voolenvine Ravelry group. That's the place to be if you want to chat about any episode or have questions or partake in any of these knit-alongs, make-alongs, so to speak. So all the details about those are over there, but we currently have a 3-month-long knit-along happening. It kicks off officially March 1st and will go until June 1st. So 3-month-long knit-along called the Uncomfort Zone Cal. And the idea behind that is to knit or make anything that is out of your comfort zone. That's the gist of it. It's a very loose, very casual knit-along. And again, you can find out all the details about that over in the Voolenvine Podcast Ravelry group, which I will link to below in the description box. The only other one heads up I want to give you, next week I am actually going to be recording again with my friend Emily, who is Slow Fashion Rebel on Instagram, and she also has her own YouTube channel called Slow Fashion Rebel. She's a good friend of mine, and she also works for me. She packages all of Voolenvine Yarn's orders and dyes yarn during the week with me. So yeah, I'm really excited to have her back on the podcast next week, so it should be a really fun episode. So can't wait for that. So yeah, if you have any questions, by the way, we're gonna do an Ask Me Anything segment in that episode. So if you have any questions you'd like to ask us that weren't addressed in the last episode that she co-hosted with me, I will pop that in the doobly-doo up there if you missed out on that. But yeah, just, we're open to any questions or queries you might have about, knitting, sewing, and the like. So, okay, that said, I am going to get into what I've been making this week, but first, just a quick word from my amazing sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes in design, business, tech, and more, even sewing and the fiber arts. As you probably know, I love learning new things when it comes to knitting, sewing, photography, or whatever crafty rabbit hole I happen to be diving down, which is why I'm all about binge-watching classes on Skillshare. And because I know you love learning new things too, I partnered up with Skillshare, and they are offering you, my viewers, 2 months free to try their platform. So give Skillshare a go and learn something new. Just click the link in the description box below and enter the code at checkout. Enjoy, and thanks, Skillshare. And welcome back. Yeah, so let's get into what's off the needles. Finished objects, FOs. I'm currently wearing an FO. I don't know if you can tell, but I finished my Tengya sweater. This is a wonderful pattern by Caitlin Hunter, who is Boyland Knitworks on Instagram. And I will stand up so you can see it in all its glory. I finished this last week before I got sick, so I wove in all the ends while I was in repose on the sofa. So it made for a really good recovery project, so to speak. But it is done, and I absolutely love it. It's a little It's a very loose fitting, lots of positive ease. The yarn is Viola Yarns, and I picked this yarn up at Indian Tangled back in October during Rhinebeck, and I will stand a little closer so you can see it. But yeah, it's knit holding 2 strands together, one strand of Viola stock yarn and another strand of her mohair lace together, so it has this really, really lovely, luscious halo. And yeah, just four rows of ribbing at the end, twisted rib. And yeah, again, I will sit down so you can see my face. So again, I did not alternate skeins. It was a really big risk that I took, and I lucked out. You cannot tell at all where I changed skeins. I mean, only if you look really, really closely, but honestly, you really can't tell. And I made this happen with essentially 2 skeins of yarn. I had 4 skeins of Viola yarns that I held together, the mohair lace and the sock yarn that I held together, so total like essentially 2 skeins of yarn. And yeah, it's the perfect project for those 2, you know, skeins of fingering weight yarn that you just don't know what to do with. So the other thing that I want to talk about is my little snafu that I talked about in previous episodes. If you recall, I had, let me see, is this the arm? Yeah, I think this is the armpit where I held some stitches on scrap yarn and then shaped the body. However, on this side, I totally forgot to put stitches on scrap yarn, so there's no like extra fabric here. However, the way it knit up is completely fine. Unless you have like an eagle eye, you really can't tell that there is anything wonky with this sweater. It fits fine, it drapes fine. I am not concerned that there are no, you know, there's not as much extra fabric under this arm as there is on this arm. I don't know how that happened, how I forgot to put stitches on scrap yarn on this side. Murphy's Law, guys. I don't know. But anyway, it worked out fine, and I know a lot of you were a little concerned. You're like, oh, you're gonna knit it, you're gonna finish it, and then you're not gonna like it. I got a good feeling about it, and thankfully it all worked out fine. I'm really happy with the final product, and this does not bother me one iota. So yeah, this is my Tangyo sweater, you guys, and I freaking love it. It goes with so much stuff in my wardrobe. This color, for one. This is her Frozen Earth colorway, and it's kind of like this lavender grayish brown, I want to say. And normally I don't gravitate towards brown, but this is just kind of like a really nice neutral grayish brown that makes my heart sing so much. And again, it goes with a lot of stuff in my wardrobe. So yeah, I really, really, really love this FO, you guys. I don't know what else to say about it. I will say though, I did wear this outside. It's been pretty cold out, like in 20 degrees Fahrenheit, low 30 degrees Fahrenheit. And yeah, this part is a little bit of a problem for me because it doesn't keep my wrists and upper, you know, my arms warm, because it doesn't keep my wrists and my forearms warm as much as a regular full sleeved sweater does. So this is more kind of like a transitional piece, or will be a transitional piece from, you know, spring, you know, winter to spring, etc., if you catch my drift. But otherwise, I love this thing to death. Can't wait to get more wear out of it. So yeah, that is all I have off on the needles. So I'm gonna move along to what's still on my needles. Whips. All right, works in progress. I still have a bunch of stuff on the needles that I wanna get off the needles. Now that this is finished, I really want to focus on getting Dennis's sweater off the needles. That has been languishing for way too long, and I don't want it to just go quietly into the night. I want that off the needles. Just so, you know, it's not that I don't want to knit a sweater for Dennis. I really want to knit him a sweater. It's just because I'm a selfish knitter, I have a hard time grappling or not focusing on stuff that I want to knit. So knitting for others does not come natural to me. But yeah, I really, really want to get that off the needle. So that is going to be my knitting priority going forward. Even though I am intermittently working on my brioche pullover. I'm looking at it over there. But that is a pattern that I cast on for my birthday. It's a really awesome pattern by Stephen West, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. So that is just kind of my fun side go-to project at the moment that I'm currently knitting for the Uncomfort Zone Cal. So that, I haven't put a dent in it because I was sick last week. I didn't put a dent in it, so I'm not even going to talk about it this week, but you know, that's what's on my radar right now. But in my sickness, I could not help casting on just a little something something to cheer myself up and make myself feel better, because honestly, I could not really, my energy levels were so low. And you know as a knitter, when you just don't have the energy or drive to knit, it's really bad. But I think on the second day I was feeling the second day that I was sick, I was feeling a little bit better. I had a little bit more energy. I was sitting on the sofa and I decided to cast on a pair of socks. Yeah, I cast on some socks, guys. And I have almost one sock done. This is the Shell Cottage socks by Helen Stewart. If you're not familiar, Helen Stewart is the designer behind Curious Handmade. If you have never heard of her, oh my gosh, come out of your log. But she is doing a second round of the Sock Society, the Handmade Sock Society, and this is the first pattern that she released in the collection. The rest of the collection is a mystery. She's going to be releasing each pattern incrementally, I think like one pattern a month. And this is the first one. So I cast this on and I got a lot done on it. The yarn is Ritual Dyes and it's in her leather colorway, and I picked this up at Vogue Knitting Live back in January. And the only thing I did different, I did not do the heel that the pattern tells you to do. I did my usual Fish Lips Kiss heel, just because I have it memorized. It's like it's quick for me. Like I just want to get past the heel, and it's a heel that fits me well. So I went with the Fish Lips Kiss heel instead of the heel flap and turn that the pattern calls for. Although it does look really pretty, and kind of kicking myself for not going with it. But at the time I was just like, I just want to get past the heel and get back to the sock knitting. But yeah, it's this really, really lovely shade of mauve, and I love the yarn. And yeah, so Helen, thank you so much for designing such an awesome pattern that helped me get better. So yeah, I'm actually decreasing for the toe right now, and then I have one more sock to knit. So yes, I'm trying to think what else I want to say about this sock. I'm using Hiya Sharps, my go-to sock knitting needles in US size 1.5, 2.5 millimeter needles. That's my go-to sock needle of choice and size of choice, and yes, I think that is it. So Sock Mojo is poking its head out, but yeah, anyway, so yarn, and there you go. So what else? I did cast on something else this week, just because it's a project that I've been wanting to knit for a while. I cast it on last year before I went to Edinburgh, and then I just really didn't enjoy the color combinations that was happening. And then also some of my hand-dyed yarn was just begging to become one of these shawls. And yeah, guys, I cast on another Birds of a Feather. It's Birds of a Feather. I haven't made much progress on it, but I cast it on, and this is, let me see. And this is my hand-dyed yarn, Vollenvine Yarns, on my Nouveau base, which is here, and my Ghost Lace base, which is my merino, my mohair silk lace yarn. And the colorway that I'm using is, are you ready for it? I Am No Bird. They just went hand in hand. Birds of a Feather, I Am No Bird. It had to be done. You see what I did there? See what I did there? Yeah. So far so good. It's, again, another pretty mindless knit. And yeah, I've had the yarn, and I set aside the yarn for this project months and months and months ago, and it was staring me in the face, and I'm like, you know what? Let's cast it on. Let's cast it on. See what happens. And so far, I'm loving it. So yeah, and I'm using US size 6 4mm needles. Yeah, so that's all she wrote, guys, as far as whips go. And yeah, I guess I'm gonna move along to sewing, because I do have some sewing to share with you. Quick costume change, guys. Over this past weekend, I do have another dress that I sewed that I will talk about on another episode. This dress just happened to go with my Tanya, so I decided to go with this dress today. But I'll talk about that other dress in another episode. But today I am wearing my second incarnation of the Klein dress, a pattern by Callie Faye, I always have trouble saying it because her pattern company is called the Callie Faye Collection. So just a really simple positive ease dress. I will stand up so you can see. This is something that my wardrobe has been begging me for, and it's just a very flowy, loose black dress. So it's has some darts over here, and then the waist comes up to here, and then the rest is just a long gathered skirt, so to speak. And yeah, I will sit down so you can see my face. And the only mods that I did to it is I shortened the skirt by 4 inches. So I made the long version, and then the pattern piece I trimmed 4 inches shorter than what the actual pattern is. So it comes like just right above my knee, whereas the original goes right below the knee. So it's perfect for like summer, but I feel like a piece like this is very transitional. I can just chuck a sweater over it, and it just goes with everything in my wardrobe. And you guys, I've been wearing it all week long. I love this thing so much. So yeah, I'm trying to think. It has some spaghetti straps with some they're adjustable, so it has like the loops and everything. And I've actually gotten to a point where I don't have to refer to the diagram now when I loop the straps into those little sliders and everything. So small victories are amazing. But yeah, I really, really love this dress. And this is the second one that I made. The first one that I made was out of some Paisley Liberty of London fabric, which again has been getting so much wear this year. It's a great, again, another piece that I can just chuck a cardigan over or a sweater. I've been wearing my Blackwood cardigan over that a lot. So, it's just a really great versatile piece that I am so excited to be adding to my wardrobe. And there will be plenty more of these. I'm trying to think. the snafu, like I've made this dress before. The one snafu that I ran into while making this is there's a lining. You have to cut out the bodice pieces twice. So you have the lining and then the outer fabric. And I was putting when I was pinning the lining to the outer bodice, everything was lining up until I got to one armhole, and I was like, all right, why isn't this matching up? And I took everything up, lined it up again, and then I was still getting to that part where one armhole wasn't matching up, and I realized that I had actually sewed one of this part right here of the bodice to the side. How? I don't know. So that was a little bit of a cog in wheel. So I had to cut out the body parts, another set of bodice pieces again, which, set me back a little bit, but honestly, I had an audiobook going and it was just bing, bang, boom. It was done and really quick, easy to put together, and highly recommend this pattern. Yeah. So I think that is all I have to share for sewing this week, guys. I am working on a new sewing blog. I know I've had a couple of blogs in the past that were pretty unsuccessful. If you've been following the podcast, I did start a blog called Strange Brew Creative. That was, I decided to pull the plug on that, Do Not Resuscitate, because it didn't really have, I don't know what I was going for with that. I was just trying a bunch of different things out, like just a place to put all my ramblings and whatever I've been working on. But I feel like the fact that it didn't have like a dedicated purpose it was a little willy-nilly all over the place, and I got lost in it. And I wasn't keeping up with it. So yeah, I really want to start a new dedicated sewing blog, a little bit of knitting, a little bit of photography, but mainly just a place to talk about all of my sewing. So I do have a new blog in the works, more on that later, but I'm having fun putting it all together as I usually do with these things. And hopefully I'm going to make that stick. But again, I'm not even going to treat it like it's anything at the moment, just not to hex it or jinx it. Just something that I want to have fun with and dabble in and see where it goes. But I do want a dedicated spot to talk about and share my sewing projects and whatnot. So yeah, just, a little more on that later, but that's what's coming down the pike. I'm back in the sweater. It was getting a tidbit nipply in here. Anyway, yeah, that is pretty much it for the sewing content and the general content of the episode. It's a short one this week, guys. So I am gonna move along to the Blather segment, the segment where I chat about what's been happening in my life, should you care to stick around. But just a quick heads up about my shop update. In case you did not know, I am the hand dyer behind Wool and Vine Yarns, and I am going to be having a shop update tomorrow Friday, March 1st. I can't believe it's March at 5 p.m. Eastern time. I will pop all that information in the down bar. I hope you guys can make it. And of course, you can sign up for my newsletter by going to my website, woolenvineyarns.com, and clicking on the newsletter link, entering your email. And every week I send out a email letting you know what colorways and what bases will be in the shop. So, feel free to do that. And yeah, so I hope to see you there. And yes, all right, enough rambling. Let's talk life stuff. Yeah, I was sick last week. It was not fun. And as I mentioned, it was probably like a stomach flu, stomach bug. I have no idea, but I want to say I was pretty much out of commission for 3 or 4 days. Monday night, I woke up feeling like, not that you want to hear about this, but yeah, I woke up feeling incredibly chilled. Like I could not get warm to save the life of me. I had like 2 quilts on me. It was not doing it. And I had a really bad headache. And the next morning I was feeling incredibly nauseous and yeah, just not well at all. I was pretty much bedridden the entire day. Unfortunately, so I didn't get out of bed. And then the next day I was pretty much in the same state. But I managed to make it down to the sofa and camp out there and watch. I literally binge watched Outlander season 4 back to back in one day. Yeah, I can't watch back to back episodes without feeling like I'm gonna go insane. So yeah, that day was, I'm not gonna lie, it was a struggle, a bit of a struggle, but I made do, and I actually really enjoyed watching Outlander. It was a really good while the books I wasn't too crazy about, I feel like the show did a good job in moving the storyline along and keeping it engaging, and the costumes, of course. And then the next day I watched Jane Eyre again, the most recent version. I can't remember what the actors' names are. Mia, I can never remember her last name, but anyway, I'll pop a link to that version down below. So yeah, I really love that movie. That's one of my favorites. So I watched that, and then I actually watched a couple of documentaries, fashion documentaries, Stephen McQueen and the Vivienne Westwood documentary. And I think those are both on Amazon Prime. Anyway, really, really inspiring and interesting documentaries. I highly recommend. Yeah, those are 2 fashion designers like I really admire, and their work just, yeah, I just find their work so inspiring. And yeah, so those, some recommendations in case you guys want to check those out. But yeah, I want to say by Friday I was feeling much better, more like myself. So thank you so much to everyone for all the well wishes. It meant so much. And thank you for bearing with me as I took a break to get better, and really good to be back. Yeah, I really, guys, get your flu shots. Take care of yourselves. I would not wish what I had on anybody. It was just not, it was a miserable, miserable period in my life. But so glad it's over and the like. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. So thank you so much again for hanging out with me. And if you are new and you enjoyed this episode, feel free to like and subscribe below. I put out a new episode every Friday for your viewing pleasure. And yeah, so that's it. Happy knitting, and I'll see you next time. Bye!